I want to tell you about the day they read your will, because I don't think I processed it right the first time. I was too busy watching Mom's face to hear the words properly. The lawyer's office smelled like carpet cleaner and coffee that had been sitting too long. He read it flat, the way people read things they've read 100 times before. No weight to any of it, just names and clauses, and hereby. When he got to my name, it was one line. A small keepsake box of your tools. That was all. Everything else, the house, the accounts, the lake property, went to Mom and my brothers. I didn't cry. I want you to know that. I sat there with my hands folded and I watched Mom's mouth do something I hadn't seen it do in years. Not a smile, exactly. Something quieter and worse. The look of someone who'd been holding their breath and could finally let it out. I think she believed you'd erased me, on purpose. I think she'd spent 2 years constructing a story where you finally saw me the way she always had, as the daughter who circled back, who showed up late and asked for things. She needed that story to be true. It made sense of something in her. What she didn't know is that I hadn't been circling back. I'd been there every Tuesday for 2 years. After my shift, I drove the 40 minutes to sit with you while you ate soup you mostly didn't want, while you asked me 3 times in an hour what day it was, while you gripped my wrist once, harder than I thought you had left in you, and said something I didn't understand. I want to tell you I remembered that moment right away, standing in the lawyer's office. I didn't. It came back to me 3 days later, at the cabin, unprompted, the way things do when you stop trying to force them. You'd said, they'll think they won. Let them. At the time, I thought you were confused. You said a lot of things that didn't track those last months, and I'd learned not to chase meaning in all of them, because chasing meaning in a mind that's leaving you is its own kind of exhausting. So I patted your hand and changed the subject and fed you another spoonful, and I let it go. I didn't let it go, actually. I just buried it somewhere I could survive. The lawyer handed me 2 bags of your things and the address of the cabin, the one nobody else wanted because it had no plumbing worth mentioning, and a driveway that washes out every spring. The key was rusted almost shut. It took me 10 minutes in the cold to get it to turn. Inside, everything was exactly as unremarkable as I expected. Dust on the windowsills. Your coat still on the hook like you'd be back for it. I didn't go there looking for anything, Grandpa. I want to be honest about that. I went because it was the only thing that was mine now, and even a place that smelled like mildew and old wood smoke felt like more than I'd had in years. I spent 5 days doing nothing that mattered. I sorted boxes I didn't need to sort. I wiped down shelves no one would see. I think I was still being useful because I didn't know how to stop. That's the thing nobody tells you about being the one who does the caring. It doesn't turn off just because the person's gone. It just looks for somewhere to land. On the 6th night, I was moving the painting above the fireplace. The ugly one of the lake at dusk, the one you always said, Grandma picked out and you never had the heart to take down. Because I wanted to see if there was water damage behind it. There wasn't. There was an envelope instead, taped flat against the wall, yellowed at the edges like it had been there longer than I wanted to think about. On the front, in your handwriting, which had gotten shaky those last years, but was steady here, older. Open this after they think they won. I sat on the floor with it for a long time before I opened it. I want to admit that too. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I didn't trust Hope. Hope had cost me before. Inside was a letter and a document, notarized, dated 8 months before you died. A land transfer. Not the house, not the accounts. Nothing that would have shown up in the will at all, because it had already left the estate before you wrote it. The cabin's parcel. Just the land. Just this small stubborn piece of ground with the washed out driveway. Signed over to me, quietly. Months before anyone thought to ask what you still owned outright. Your letter didn't apologize for the will. It didn't explain itself to Mom or defend you to anyone. It just said you'd watched who came on Tuesdays, and who didn't, and that you weren't confused that afternoon at all. You said you knew exactly what you were doing when you told them nothing was left. You wanted them to think that. You wanted the peace of not being fought over anymore, and you wanted me to have something that couldn't be contested, couldn't be relitigated, couldn't be taken back once the dust settled. I called the estate attorney the next morning. It took him 4 minutes on the phone to confirm the transfer was valid, recorded, filed, untouchable. He said it so plainly, like it was nothing, like it wasn't the first solid ground I'd stood on in 2 years. No courtroom, no scene. Just a man reading a file number back to me and saying, yes, that's yours. It was always yours. I haven't told Mom. I don't know if I will. Some nights I draft the conversation in my head, how I'd say it, what her face would do this time. Other nights I think the not telling is its own kind of answer, the only inheritance that's really mine to decide. I still drive out here on Tuesdays. Habit, I guess. Or something closer to it. The soup's for no one now. I make it anyway. Thank you for seeing me. Even when you were pretending not to see anything at all.